A good main character can really take a great anime series and elevate it into something truly epic. Some of the greatest anime series aren't just the standard good versus evil type heroes. Sometimes the greatest main characters are not only unbelievably overpowered, but also absolute savages. Welcome back to Animeology. Today we shall be covering some of the most savage and overpowered anime main characters. We've got some brilliant recommendations for you today and a bunch of anime series you probably haven't seen yet. Number 10. Arafuta. There's nothing better than getting caught and transported into a mythical fantasy isekai world. Arafuta does this perfectly and adds some tasty harem elements that had us on the edge of our seats from the very first episode. Starting off as a successful light novel series and since spreading across as a manga and seeing a quality anime adaptation, there is a lot of the world of Arafuta for you to get involved in. We follow the absolute savage high schooler Hijami Nagumo that is teleported with the rest of his class into a fantasy isekai world. Everyone is blessed with a whole number of powerful magical abilities, but Hajime only gets some basic alchemy powers that craftsmen usually have. The class goes on a few adventures and dungeon raids, but one day he is betrayed and pushed to the bottom of a dungeon. Using his alchemy skills, Hajime crafts some powerful gear and attempts to escape, meeting a collection of interesting and beautiful women along the way, and being grizzled by countless battles and dangers. Hajime can't help but become more ruthless, cynical, and outright savage along the way. Number 9. Vinland Saga. A brilliant sense of adventure in a fun and interesting historical authentic setting, Vinland Saga is a pretty big name across anime veterans and is a series that we definitely recommend you check out. Set mostly in England after it's been conquered by the Danish king, we follow the king old and nearing death, with his two sons arguing over who gets to be king and rule after their father passes away. The story itself draws heavily from a number of famous and well-known historical events, but with some exciting action that makes Vinland Saga an absolutely brilliant watch. The story itself follows a young boy by the name of Thorfinn that lives a peaceful life in Iceland. His father, Thor, a Viking commander, abandoned his ship during a sea battle around 15 years ago, and the story picks up with the arrival of an old friend that calls him back into battle. With twists and turns and deaths at every single corner, there's never a moment of rest in Vinland Saga. A clearly defined and well-outlined anime series that understands exactly the direction in which it's heading with a rich and strong core storyline. Number 8. Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. A fantastic and light adventure fantasy series, this is an anime that has a little something for everybody. You wouldn't expect it from the start, but we could not help but get drawn in by the powerful and absolutely savage Elena. We meet our young witch that is fascinated and inspired by the tales of her idol witch that travelled the entire world. Elena aims to do the same and studies tirelessly and perfects her magic, looking to become the youngest apprentice to pass the sorcerer exam. She tries to become a full-on witch but is rejected until she finally finds Fran. The Stardust Witch accepts her. The two begin travelling and exploring the world, getting up to all sorts of exciting and fun antics. The story is shown to us through a series of intimate diary entries that had us laughing, crying, booing, and cheering. An absolutely phenomenal series that is quite unlike any other. Number 7. My youth romantic comedy is wrong.
送ってくれてありがとう。
Focusing on the bite-sized slice-of-life format, this well-put-together romantic comedy series with some interesting character choices that set this apart from most other animes out there. The series itself follows Hachiman, a really down-to-earth, pessimistic, close-minded and realistic teen. A pretty negative individual that likes to keep his nose out of trouble. The story kicks off when Hachiman's teacher forces him to join the school service club, and our MC is forced to work with two extremely unique and distinct girls. Although all of our main characters have extremely different personalities and opinions, the series covers a lot of surprisingly mature and complex social problems faced by teens in high school. Really getting into their mentality and thought processes, you wouldn't expect a series so light to turn around and just get so heavy. But it does, and we loved every moment of it. Number 6. The Fruit of Gracia. Easily one of the greatest harems of all time that gets very twisted with its intense psychological drama. The Fruit of Gracia also has one of the greatest and most savage anime MCs you'll ever come across, especially in a harem setting. The series itself started off as a highly successful game that has since expanded into manga, films, and a brilliant anime series, following Yuji Kazumi as he transfers to an elite Mihama Academy, a prison-like school that has 5 female students. Each of these women is at the Mihama for their own unique and special reasons. Yuji tries to remain uninvolved and live a normal student life, but he can't help but get sucked in and learn more and more about the girls as he starts talking to them. Number 5. Konosuba. A fantastic isekai series, relatively newer than most, but still considered one of the greatest of all time, largely due to its brilliant core storyline, but most importantly, its absolutely savage main character. We learn of Kazuma Sato, a full-blown teenage NEET, shut in and never leaving his room when he meets a goddess by the name of Aqua that follows him that allows him to be reincarnated into a fantasy world with adventures and monsters. Although given the chance to get some overpowered items and abilities, Kazuma chooses the goddess herself to accompany him through this isekai world. He soon realizes that she is absolutely useless. The two form the basis of a party and soon recruit a number of unique and interesting members. With a lot of humour to be had, the party soon realises they have no chance of defeating the insanely powerful Devil King, and just try to live out a comfortable and enjoyable life, but the Devil King can't help but send out his many powerful generals to battle Konosuba and his team of adventurers. Number 4. Seraph of the End.
ダメだゆうちゃん僕と一緒に
We can't help but fall in love with the dark fantasy themes of this post-apocalyptic vampire anime. Seraph of the End ties together some brilliant artistic stylings with some interesting visual storytelling that had us hooked from the very first episode. Set in the year 2012, when the human population is almost decimated due to a crazy man-made virus that left only children under the age of 13 safe. Vampires began to emerge from the ground and started to rule the earth. The remaining humans on Earth pay protection to their vampire masters in blood. We follow the young Yachiro as he looks to escape an orphanage and attempts to make a life for himself. After witnessing the brutal death of his friend Mikaela, he vows to avenge her by slaying as many vampires as he can get his hands on. He learns that Mikaela is actually still alive, and Seraph of the End elevates to a whole new level. It's an absolutely brilliant series with a strong core story and an unbelievably savage MC that had us hanging on his every word. Number 3. Wolf Girl and Black Prince.
つい女絶対やだわ
「
Although this might come across as a classic romantic comedy, don't be fooled. The Black Prince is easily one of the most savage main characters that we've ever seen in an anime series. We meet Erika Shinohara, a girl that desperately wants to make some friends and fit in at high school. All her friends have boyfriends, so Erika is forced to like and make one up, even showing them photos of a random guy in the street. Turns out that this guy is Keiō Asata, the most popular girl in her school. She begs that he pretend to be her boyfriend. He agrees, but only if she becomes his wolf girl and acts like a pet to him. We soon realise that Keiō is truly a dark prince. Although he seems like a kind and loving individual, she soon learns that he is snarky, insulting, and has a very cynical view of the world. And of course, the two can't help but fall in love with one another. Number 2. Killing Bites. There are few things greater than a quality science fiction anime. Killing Bites introduces some interesting science fiction elements with some absolutely brilliant and awesome action scenes to bring a well-rounded and great anime watch. Set in a super high concept science fiction anime, we see some college students attacked. Our hero, Hitomi, a white-haired girl, has no choice but to kill them all except Yuya, another strange girl actually transformed into a beast. Turns out that these strange supernatural fighters are called brutes. They are created through the combination of beasts and humans, and have been a major factor in the huge swing across Japan's history. Hitomi is then assigned to protect Yuya, and the two are able to forge one of the most interesting and engaging character relationships we've come across in a long while. Although the two appear to be greatly different, Killing Bites soon shows us that even the most different individuals generally have a lot more in common than you would originally imagine. And number 1. Detroit Metal City. It's hard to find an anime series that's outright hilarious and as unique as Detroit Metal City. Pretty hard to come by and seriously underrated, this black comedy anime series has an absolutely brilliant soundtrack with some fantastic songs that we still listen to from time to time. Following Sochi Negishi, a shy young musician that aims to become a popular pop star. But his dreams can't pay the bills, and he's forced to become a guitarist of a death metal band. In his costume, he becomes someone else, a horrible demon-like being that spreads vile and horrible messages to its listeners. Negishi hates his life as a rock guitarist, but can't walk away from his role as the lead guitarist of the band Detroit Metal City. With extreme anger issues and a lot of skill with the guitar, Negishi also owes it to the other members of the band and the label. A brilliant series that highlights a lot of major issues with the music industry and the road to stardom. We couldn't help but laugh and smile at the epic journey of Detroit Metal City, from playing quiet and smoky bars as they slowly rose in popularity to become one of the biggest death metal bands around.